Welcome to the Dave Palma Show, the podcast that revives, restores, and awakens your innermost capabilities.
You have the training and the talent to succeed, but do you have the guts to fail?
I love what I do. When you love what you do, you want to be the best at it.
Today is about the power of you. You will change the world.
Find your path to success through the journey of those who have succeeded. And now, your host, Dave Palma.
Hi, welcome back to the Dave Palma Show. And with me in this episode, I have a pediatrician and a certified physician executive. He's the CEO of One Health Ohio, an integrated community health center program servicing the medically uninsured, underinsured, and underserved populations in Northeast Ohio. His clinics have served more than 1 million patients, including his 35 years at the helm. During his 35 years at the helm. He's also author of a book on learning from failure called Don't Pick Up the Dog Hairs. Ronald Dwinnells, welcome to the Dave Palma Show.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And it's quite interesting mix. I mean, I've written a book myself, but it was kind of based on my experience, as a firefighter, and then making a motivational book. So it's kind of like you're doing a leadership one, which obviously you're in a leadership position as a doctor, a pediatrician in the community, that you're leading the way in what you're doing, especially serving, the people that can't really reach the medical help they need, which is really great and honorable thing to do, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah. It's been a lifelong passion. Obviously, I actually started our clinic 36 years ago, and I was a very idealistic pediatrician just finishing school, and we're all idealists at that point in time. And one of the things that I kept seeing was all these people who really had no regular doctors. They would go to the emergency room for their medical care and so forth, but they didn't have any ongoing preventive care and those kinds of things. So anyway, I found out about a grant that the federal government had through HRSA, the Health Resource Service Administration, and I wrote for it because I always liked writing, and I wrote a grant and I got it, and we started the clinic the following year, and it's grown since then. So it's been a good experience and a good trip for these 36 years.
Excellent. Well, that's really great. And I know I did an honourable profession for my own skill, from my own level of what I could do and what I chose to do. And the same for you as well. And doing it so much for the community is really, really an extra kind of, special thing to do, really. So great. Well, anyway, you wrote this book. Everyone wants to do... Right, okay. So it's called Don't Pick Up the Dog Hairs. Actually, why did you pick that title for a leadership book? A book that's really focused on leadership.
Well, it's actually Don't Pick Up All the Dog Hairs.
Oh, all the dog hairs. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So, it's a little bit of a story, but first of all, the book is about the failures and the adversities and the mistakes and the enemies, as I say, that we all over time acquire through leadership. We all fail, we all have adversities, we all make mistakes, and then we all unfortunately have enemies too. They don't like what we do, they don't like our decisions, or maybe they're jealous. So anyway, over many years, there's no such thing as leadership school per se. So how do you learn about leadership? Well, I learned my lessons through a lot of mistakes. And so for 25 years, I did leadership lectures at the local medical school here. And over time, the lecture series evolved into what I called Don't Do That at the time. And Don't Do That was, again, little tidbits of little anecdotes of my mistakes and what happened and what did I learn from it. So that's how the book kind of got started over many years. And then I don't know, one of those years somebody said, oh, you should write those down, and I did, and then I started using those as handouts, and then we would talk about each of the stories and what the lessons were. So it became really popular, and and I ended up winning actually awards for it from the medical school and so forth. They really liked the lectures. They liked the stories because stories always stick.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how the book evolved. The reason I named it "Don't Pick Up All the Dog Hairs" was it was one of those lessons that I had learned through one of my kids. So I have one of my daughters' name is Abby, and Abby was really a bright girl, just super bright, and she's going into the 6th grade, and she always made all A's except a B here or B there throughout a school year. So I challenged her before she went into the 6th grade. I said, Abby, if you make all A's for the whole year, Daddy will get you anything you want. And she says, okay, very nonchalantly. And okay, so over time, I thought maybe she forgot about it, but she was making all A's. And in the last quarter of her grading period, I'm a little worried now because she's got all A's up to that point. I say, hey, Abby, are you going to make all A's? Yeah, I think so. She's still very nonchalant about it. So she gets her final grades and she makes all A's. So the next day she gives me this little clipping off of a newspaper, Labrador Retriever dogs for sale. Yeah. So I said, oh, okay, you want a dog? She said, yeah. I said, okay. So we go in there, and lab puppies are so cute, and so there's like 5 or 6 in this litter, and she picks the biggest one there, and she names him Charlie. Yeah. And so she brings him home, and now I had dogs when I was a kid, but they were always outside dogs, and I never even thought about keeping a dog inside, because I'm the main cleaner of my house, or I was. So I didn't want a dog running around in the house, but I thought, okay, it's a puppy, and her. She was going to keep the dog in her bedroom. So anyway, time goes on and this dog gets huge. I mean, it's like a really big dog and they shed a lot of hair. I had no idea labs shed that much hair, and there's hair everywhere. So now I'm going crazy because I'm vacuuming constantly. There's saliva all over the floor because he salivates a lot. Sometimes he pees on the floor. So it's like this issue, and then again I was not anymore. I was a little bit OCD on cleaning because that's what I did on the weekends. So right. So anyway, I'm going kind of nuts and I'm going crazy, and I realized this, and so I put him outside in the garage. I built a pen in the garage. Well, he barked, he chewed the drywall, it was a mess. So I brought him back in. Then I tried to put him out again. I built a doghouse outside, and that didn't work either. And everybody was mad at me, like her sisters were mad at me. My wife was mad at me because I wanted the dog out. So finally one day I said, hey, you know what, guys? I quit. I'm not cleaning anymore. You guys are on your own. And I'm not doing this anymore because I was going really crazy. So, literally. And so anyway, so my wife hires a cleaning lady. So I go out and I start building things in my backyard, and I didn't really know that I had a passion to build things. So I built a pergola, I built a gazebo, I built a koi pond, I built a garden, I built walking path, and the backyard became really nice. And anyway, so it dawned on me over time that, if it wasn't for that adversity of fighting with Charlie, the dog, and my family, keeping this dog in the house, I wouldn't have had this really nice garden in the back. And they would have been mad at me. And the lesson here was sometimes in leadership, you need to let go. You can't fight every battle, and you can't expect to win every battle. I know, and most people who are in leadership tend to be very strong and aggressive and always get what they want. But to me, a real leader can't do that. A real leader sometimes have to understand when to let go. And in this case, when I let go and I decided not to do the cleaning anymore, I ended up with a beautiful backyard, and I still have it. Charlie, unfortunately, did die a couple years ago, and so Charlie's no longer around. We still have the cleaning lady, but I have a beautiful backyard, and my kids still love me. So, so everything worked out. But that's the lesson of that particular chapter, and it's one of those. most people don't think that way as a leader. I'm going to get what I want. But I don't think real leaders, true good leaders, they need to look at sometimes letting go, because by letting go, sometimes things will work out better. So that's the lesson in that. And hence I named the book that way, because I thought it was kind of a catchy title.
Yeah. No, it is. It's definitely quite interesting. When you say things like, what's that all about? Like what I asked you at the beginning. What does it mean?
Right.
Why did you choose that title for
Right.
leadership? And now it makes sense, obviously, with what you explained. So,
Yes.
so it's catchy, and that's the whole idea of choosing titles and book covers and stuff like that, really. So, and you've got a nice picture of a dog, being groomed in the picture. Well, hoovered, his hair's being hoovered or something like that, isn't it? Really. So.
Right. Uh-huh.
Well, at the beginning of the contents, quite amazingly, you have a foreword written by a former NASA astronaut, which is quite good.
Yeah.
That's leadership in itself, isn't it? Really.
He's an interesting man. I met him. I was going on a cruise one year with my family, and we ended up in the same hotel right outside of Cape Canaveral.
Yeah.
And he's going on a cruise too. So I'm in a workout room. I work out every morning, and I'm working out, and this other guy's here, and anyway, I finished my treadmill run, and he comes over, and I have an Ohio State T-shirt on, and he says, "Oh, are you from Ohio?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "I never went to Ohio State, but I just have the T-shirt." And he says, "Oh, I'm from Wadsworth, which is a town actually near where I am right now." And anyway, so we, small talk, and I said, "Oh, where do you live now?" And he says, "Houston." He says, "I work for NASA." I said, "Oh, okay." So we get to talking some more, and he said, "Well, I used to live around here." And I said, "Oh, really?" I said, "Did you ever watch any of these space shuttles go up? The rocket launches?" And he has this very pensive look to he's nodding his head, and he says, "Yeah, I've been on a couple of them." And I'm looking at him, and like now I don't know what to say. I'm looking at him like, so I said something really dumb like, "Oh, are you some kind of an astronaut or something?" And he says, "Yeah, I used to be." And so anyway, so like I'm thinking, there's no way, I mean, he doesn't. I don't know what an astronaut's supposed to look like, but he doesn't look like an astronaut, So anyway, this particular hotel happened to have the theme of NASA, and they had all these photos of different teams of astronauts on the different flights. So I thought, I'm going to go and see if I can find his picture. Well, sure enough, he was on 2 shuttle flights. He was even in the space station at one time, and it turned out that he's one of the most prolific spacewalkers ever. So anyway, we ended up on the same cruise, and we got to be good friends. We worked out every day, and we got to be really good friends. And and so and his story is very interesting. If you read the foreword, he was a naval captain. He went to Annapolis. He was a naval captain, and he tried 5 times to become an astronaut, because that was his lifelong dream. Right. And he persisted. He kept persisting, and he finally made it. And he became a great astronaut. So, so I thought it was very appropriate that he would write the foreword of my book for me, and I thought he did a great job.
Yeah, no, that's quite good, and fittingly with the story, the whole story, it works out quite well, doesn't it? Really. Well, you've got you've got an amazing 37 chapters in this book. Are they actually very long chapters, or is it kind of quick read for each chapter, or? Yeah,
very quick reads. Yes, they're 2-3 pages at the most.
Right, okay.
And basically, I named all the chapters "Don't Whatever," and I tried to come up with some creative don'ts. But as it relates to leadership and those kinds of things, but they each have a lesson. Each chapter has a lesson on why you shouldn't be doing this or that or whatever. So that's kind of how I structured the chapters. It's not a negative book. The don't might imply negative, but it's it's like, okay, one is don't be nice. Well, okay, that's a little bit catchy, like, oh, why not? Don't be nice. Well, it really should probably be titled "Don't Be Naive," because in leadership, one of the, especially early on, you want to be really nice, right? You want people to like you, and you want people to follow you, and so forth. So you kind of bend over backwards, like giving things, like giving permissions to do this or do that, or giving them the day off a little bit early, so you're trying to be really nice so that they like you, thinking that if they like you, then they'll do what what you want them to do. It doesn't really work that way.
No, it doesn't.
So yeah, I think the story I wrote in that one was about the time clock. So I was starting out as the CEO, and I thought, I never really liked the concept of time clocks. Like, what's the magic of 40 hours in a week? Okay, I get it. It's to record time so that we can pay people and so forth. But really, what's 40 hours got to do with anything? If you can do the 40-hour work in 20 hours, then so be it. If it takes you 80 hours, then so be it. That's kind of the way I looked at things. So one day we had a group meeting. We only had maybe 12 people in our organization at the time. We have over 200 now. So we had about 12 people, and I said, guys, I really think that time clocks are really dumb, and let's get rid of them, because you're all adults, and there's no reason why you can't manage your own time. And everybody's like, yeah, you're right, Doctor. They call me Dr. D. You're right, Dr. D. So anyway, I got rid of the time clock, and it's one of those proverbial stories. So the first week, it's great. Everybody comes in to work early, gets the patients processed, appropriately in timeliness type of thing, and everybody's getting out in time, and everybody's happy. Employees are happy, patients are happy, I'm happy. Second week, I go down in the clinical area, and there's a couple people missing. And I said, hey, where's so-and-so? And, oh, well, they went to McDonald's to get us, some snacks. Oh, okay. Well, where's so-and-so? Well, they had to go home and take the dog for a walk. Oh, okay. So anyway, a little bit, okay, I gave them that freedom. So the third week comes around, and now like half the staff is missing. Like where's all these people? And now the patients are backed up. They're upset. The employees that are there are upset because they're working extra hard now, and like half the staff is gone. So then I realized, okay, it's not going to work. And then the fourth week, I re-implemented the time clock. So at the beginning, I thought, well, I'm being nice to give them some liberal management of their time, but it just doesn't work. And employees are sometimes kind of like kids. You got to give them structure. And that's what I learned about that. So I called it "Don't Be Nice" because I was trying to be nice because I wanted them to like me and I want them to do the good work, but it didn't work. That was a bad experiment.
Well, yeah. Well, it's always good to try experiments anyway. And so, like you say, you learn from mistakes. I mean, some of the best inventors failed many times before they could.
Yes.
In your medical profession, it's the same thing. Researching medicine and getting it right and stuff like that. It's the same, similar.
Right.
Kind of thing anyway.
Right.
Although, you're like the firefighting profession on the front line, you have to be more precise and get it right if you can, So.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I see one here called "Don't Run Over the Cat."
Oh.
I know it's meant to be a kind of humorous thing, but obviously, nobody wants to run over a cat, really, do they?
No, and my wife gets really mad at me because it's really a story about her.
Okay.
Yeah, so we had this cat. It was a boy cat, but the cat's name was Kitty. So we had a little bit of a feminine name, but Kitty was an old cat. He was an outside cat, and he was now like 16, 17 years old. So he's pretty old for a cat. And he hung around the house more than he used to. He used to be out in the woods all the time, and you never saw him in the summer. And now he's hanging around the garage area all the time, and just kind of wanted to be closer to home. And I guess that was the nature's instinct of he knows he can't battle his battles anymore out there in the wild, so he's staying in a safe area. So anyway, my garage is heated, so in the winters, he's in there. He shed a lot of hair. I didn't want him in the house, and he was always an outside cat, so he wasn't in. He had fleas and all that. And anyway, so I kept him in the garage. Well, cars come in and out of the garage. So, and the Kitty would always just kind of walk around, and then we'd always have to look, over our hoods to make sure we're not, the cat's not there, so we could just go in. Well, okay, all that time of course I knew that, this cat could get run over one of these days, but I didn't do anything about it. I didn't prepare. What I should have done in hindsight, and I probably thought about it during the time too, was, I should have probably taken him to the vet, got him all cleaned up, got him dewormed, fleed, whatever, and brought him inside and let him live out his last days in the house. But I didn't. And we all procrastinate, right? And it was one of those procrastinations. It was like kind of like way down low on the priority level. So anyway, we kept going in and out, and one day the cat steps in front of my wife as she pulling in, and then she runs over. And actually she runs over one of the legs, and it was really, really bad. So she comes in, and she gets me. I think I ran over the cat. So I come out, and yeah, the cat's run over, and he's alive. So I pick him up, and we run him over to the emergency vet, and he had a broken leg, and he's old. He's 17. He's not going to make it through any kind of surgery or anything like that. So we put him down. But the lesson of that is we're all guilty of that in our personal lives, and especially in leadership when you got so many things coming out at you. A lot of times you let things go, they become lower priority, but then bad things happen. So the lesson probably in there, I could have delegated this more. I could have told one of my kids to take the cat and get things done and so forth. But it's one of those. So that's why don't run over the cat, because you will if you neglect certain duties that you should have.
Yeah. It's kind of like a personal kind of like saying a personal joke, because it's something that happened personally, around you.
Yeah.
But I suppose it does make sense for people to see that.
Yeah, and we're all guilty of it. I still do it every single day in my office. Like, oh man, I should have done that yesterday. And but it's part of life, I guess.
No, absolutely. So, out of all the chapters, what would you say is a kind of main message you would be giving to the readers and listeners of the podcast here as well?
Yeah, the main message is, and the subtitle is Lessons for Life and Leadership. So it's, to me, you're the leader of your own life. And so these lessons can be personally attributed to us as individuals, and we can learn from that. So the main message here is we all have adversities in our lives. We all fail. We all make mistakes, but don't neglect them. Learn from them. And I have a chapter in there where I talk about embrace your failures. I tell that to my staff all the time. They get upset that they made a mistake. It's okay. What did you learn from it? And that's valuable. And a lot of people, it's natural. I think it's human nature to say, I screwed up. I'm not going to tell anybody, or it's embarrassing, right? When you make a mistake or you fail at something. And but I suggest the opposite. Hey, learn from it. I accept it, embrace it, teach it, talk it over with somebody. Hey, I ran over the cat. I ran over the cat because I wasn't prepared. I didn't do my homework in terms of keeping this cat safe.
Or due diligence, whichever way you want to look at it.
yes, exactly. So that's really the main message. And I had a very different kind of childhood, and I think I've had adversity since I was a kid. So my mom, I was born in Japan.
Oh, okay. All right.
And this is kind of the beginnings of all this failure stuff and adversity. So I was born in post-World War II Japan, and the Japanese culture is very homogeneous, if you will. And if you deviate a little bit, then you're kind of looked at as an oddity. So everybody conforms. There's a lot of responsibility to the culture, the society in itself. There's a lot of that goes on. So if there's some deviations to the norm, then you might not feel like you belong. So my mom was a little bit. She wasn't the typical Japanese woman. She was a little bit of a maverick. So the U.S. military was of course occupied Japan after World War II, and so my mom liked the Americans, and anyway she ended up getting pregnant.
It happened in the World War II along in the UK as well, so it's the same kind of thing, really.
Yeah. So she became pregnant. She's a single woman. She's a single Japanese woman. Well, that's taboo. That's taboo. And then consorting with an American is also a taboo. So, she became an immediate outcast. Her family disowned her and so forth. So then I'm born. So I'm a half guy, I'm half Japanese, half American. And, so they have all kinds of names for those types of people in Japan. So I was considered a hafu. Okay, hafu is kind of a derogatory term for basically a quote half-breed. So so anyway, so adults would look at me like like they're mad at me. Kids, I would get into fights with kids and that kind of stuff. But looking back, of course, as a kid, I didn't know what this was all about, and I got into fights, and but looking back, those were valuable lessons to me, because I learned how to handle myself, how to deal with adverse situations and so forth. So one funny story about this. So a good part of this is my dad did leave, but he came back, and he's going to marry my mom 5 years later. So 5 years later he comes back, and they're going to get married. And so my mom knows this, and I speak. So I'm a half American, half Japanese kid speaking Japanese in Japan. So she wants me to learn English because they're going to get married and he's going to be stationed in the U.S. So she enrolls me in this kindergarten, this Western Catholic kindergarten up the street from where she lived. And so I'm supposed to go, or what my mom wanted me to do was learn English. So I go, and anyway, I'm learning things. And so one day my dad comes, he's on leave, and he comes to visit my mom. And so my mom's now really proud of me because I'm learning English at this Catholic kindergarten school. So she tells me in Japanese, or she says, well, say something to your father. And I said, okay, and I said, ciao padre. Well, that's Italian. Okay. Well, what it was an Italian Catholic missionary kindergarten. Yeah. So I'm learning Italian. I'm not learning English. My mom doesn't know. She thinks I'm learning English. So I'm this half American, half Japanese kid going to an Italian Catholic missionary kindergarten, learning Italian, but I'm supposed to be learning English. So that's why, when people look at me like, hey, you're kind of weird. Yeah, well, maybe that's why. I had a little bit of a mixed up childhood, but, but I think I learned a lot from those adversities.
Yeah, if you take lessons from it, and then I think I can see now where your book's going like that. So, well, it sounds really fantastic book to get into and read, and especially any leaders from any walks of life can delve into this.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah. Again, it's about life and leadership.
Life and leadership. Yeah. Where can our listeners pick up the book from? I mean, I know I just dipped into Amazon here. I mean, is it available everywhere, or?
Yes. As the book publishers say, everywhere that books are sold.
Yep.
So, exactly. Nobles, all the outlets have it. Online, all the online services. Good.
Yeah. Because I don't think I've got a website here for it. Let's just check. I don't have a website for it, but you only need to put the book in like Amazon. I put it in there and it came up, or Google or something like that, and it comes up, doesn't it? Really, with your name.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, and I do have a website, ronaldwhinnells.com. It's on the book, I think.
Oh right, okay. I didn't see that website. Yeah, I wasn't given that website by your agent. So
yeah.
Okay. Well, there we are. If anyone listening, go to ronaldwhinnells.com and. There'll be everything about you on there anyway, won't there, really?
Yes, it has all the links to the various, outlets.
Right. Well, that's fantastic. I mean, I always love having authors on this show, and life. I mean, I'm a certified life coach, although I'm a retired firefighter. But I'm drawn on my own experience. That's why I did my book from my early years and firefighting experience all together. So it's a similar kind of thing to your book, really, but I'm promoting your book, not mine, because everybody would know about it if they dip into my website. So, but yeah, similar kind of thing to you, really. It's not exactly. To get certified as a life coach was just a bonus, as well as a personal trainer, that kind of thing. Yeah. But obviously, my main profession was in the firefighting field, like yours as a pediatrician. It's nice to do that, really, to kind of like give back something from your own experience, isn't it? Really,
I think so too. Yeah. I've been very blessed in my life to have done what I've been able to do. So I climb mountains now as a hobby, big one.
Oh wow! Yeah, I saw that, and running as well. Yeah, because you was running on a treadmill. Yeah. I was an international runner as well. So
oh, really?
Track. I ran 850, 400 and 800 actually.
Yes.
So reasonably good time. So Olympic trials, that kind of thing. And now I just run to keep fit and try and stay alive, really. So which you can understand that side of it. So because you're a doctor, so you know about that. So excellent. Well, Ron, it's a really great pleasure. I really enjoyed this conversation with you today, and thanks for sharing this book and everything else that your stories on. It's really been entertaining. So thanks very much for coming on the show and sharing all this.
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you very much.
That's all for this episode. Thanks for listening, and remember, if you want to support what we do, then share, subscribe, and leave a review over on Apple Podcasts. Or head over to my website, davepalmer.com, and click on Rate Show. Well, that's all for now, but I'll see you in the next episode of The Dave Palmer Show.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.